Hey, what's going on, everybody? You are listening to ATB Hammered, and I am your host, Michael Bird. And on today's episode of Hammered, we have guest host Laura May in
Hello,
studio.
hello, hello.
So, what are you up to today?
Oh, not a whole lot. Working from home. It's today's a norm, and learning to adapt to that. Never been on so many video conference calls in all my life, so that's good.
Well, so I'm working from home too. Have not done any work I'm supposed to be doing for my job at home. All I've been doing is burning firewood in my fire pit for 3 days straight now and watching videos on Facebook. And speaking of watching videos on Facebook, so you do a lot of teleconference meetings, right?
I sure do.
Have you ever taken the phone in the bathroom with you and forgot about it?
I have not, thankfully.
You see the video of the girl that was on Zoom with like 10 other people?
Oh,
She took the phone in the bathroom, dropped her trowel, and dropped a deuce.
she did it. She did the whole thing. We watched it. And I'll tell you, I've done thousands of conference calls. Getting into video conferencing is very new, kind of for everybody at this point. But she really made that it's a lesson that everybody can learn. So this woman is like a hero. So the rest of us who are working from home and doing these video conference calls, even earlier today, I'm like, man, I got to use the restroom and I'm in the middle of a call. So I make sure like everything's muted. I take the camera off. I turn off my AirPods. Everything is off. And then I didn't even flush because I'm like, the speakers are still on my laptop. Like you just can't be too careful in terms of professional video conferencing.
So, Laura, let's just watch the video. You want to watch it? Let's just get a little play-by-play on what's going on here. So,
profession is one of the only professions that
it's
say
like
that
11
like we
people
can
here.
never get involved with a former client ever, regardless of how
They're
long
all
it's been,
bored to
versus like
tears.
some other
this is
professions
just
say
your
a few
average
years or
garden
whatever.
variety
I think it really
video
depends on just like
call.
the ethical
Well,
standards
she's
of the
got the
profession.
phone in her
And
hand and
reality,
it's
I've
face
heard that
up.
social
You
work
can tell. And
has
she just sat it down,
very high standards,
and boom, there she goes.
and like
And look at this guy
like
with the
good
red hat. He's
standards
losing
in
his
terms
shit.
of things, and that oftentimes people don't
One girl's got her finger in her mouth,
like
and she
people
realizes that
of
boom,
other
she's busted.
professions don't have.
But hold on, let's go back. I want to.
What happened?
Well, I want to
They-
know who the host is, and
I
did the
saw
host
nothing.
not realize?
Oh my
Oh
God,
my God, Jennifer! Did the host not realize what was going on?
Who was the one saying what happened? Where were you at?
Nothing. Keep
That's
going.
You
what-
big dummy.
That's what I want to know. Is if that's the host, because the host, I mean, she's following like her prompts that she's facilitating. So she's, I mean, you said it. There's like 11 people on that call, and she's not looking at everybody. But I mean, Jennifer over here was just like, I feel so bad for Jennifer. Was she just like, no one's going to notice?
But Jennifer didn't put her phone down flat. She put her phone down sideways because it was videoing her perfectly. Do you do that? Do you set your phone down to where it's like videoing you while you're? I mean, did she just have a lapse, a brain lapse or something? Why would she do that?
She must have, maybe, I don't know, maybe she's just not familiar with the concept of a video conference. Like she's seeing everyone else, and kind of depending on the video conference platform that you're using, you don't always see yourself. Especially if you have your camera turned off. So it may have been that, oh no, that wouldn't be accurate then, because how would we see her? Ooh. Anyway, I'm willing to give her the benefit of the doubt. There are tons of video conferencing platforms out there, and they're all a little different. So I wish her the best. Thank you. Great hero for your sacrifice, because now the rest of us working from home will think twice before we use the restroom during our conference calls.
I'm definitely thinking twice about taking my phone in the bathroom now after seeing the horror on that girl's face when she discovered her associates, her colleagues, were seeing her drop a deuce. Anyway, I digress. On today's show, Laura, we have Amber Dawn Fox on the Hammered Hotline.
Ooh.
Yes, she is living here in North Carolina, Eastern North Carolina. She's also an actress, better known for her role in season 5's episode of The Walking Dead entitled Slabtown, and Coda, where she played Officer Bello. So I met her at the event at Plus around 3 weeks ago, the Rio Fest. She happened to be there, and we asked her if she'd do this podcast with us tonight, and here we go. So are you ready to talk to Amber?
I have never been more ready.
Neither have I. This cue to Walking Dead music. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Michael, and you are listening to ATB Hammered. Today we have in studio Miss Laura May. How are you tonight?
Hello. Fabulous, as always.
So fabulous. I love it. Love the way you say it. You
don't
just
pay me
made
for
me feel
nothing.
fabulous. And on the Hammered Hotline, we have actress Amber Dawn Fox. How's it going tonight, Amber?
It's going good, going real good.
Good.
Nice to be here.
Hey, so you're living over in old Greenville, Vegas, right? That's where you live?
Just outside of Greenville, yes.
Oh, just outside. I'm real familiar with that area because I grew up in Bertie County. I don't know if you know where that's at. But
Oh, okay.
It's over in that
Yeah, I
neck of the
do.
woods. Yeah.
I got you. Yeah, so I'm in Chocowinity. Little Chocowinity.
Chocowinity, yep. I'm very familiar with that. I don't think I've ever been there. I grew up in eastern North Carolina for 20 years, and Chocowinity, I always heard of it. It was always one of them places that you hear about, but you just never go because it's so far away. But you hear they have like bluegrass music.
Hey,
and
you didn't
stuff.
miss anything.
I lived in Greenville for just over
Right,
a
yeah.
year, and that was enough. So, what was it about that area that attracted you to it, just out of curiosity?
Nothing against the area, but it was only because my husband lived here. I'm actually originally from Indiana, and then I went to high school in Florida. And I moved here with my mother when my son was born and had plans to move back to Florida, but then I met my now husband and never left.
Aw, well, I guess that's a pretty good reason to stay. He's
Yeah.
all right, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, we've been together almost 14 years now, so he's okay.
Oh, yeah. You're way beyond the point of trading him in for somebody else. You're good.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, yeah. So I grew up, and I used to go to Greenville to party when I was 16, and we would party out with all the ECU people, and I got hit in the head with my first and last beer bottle ever out in Greenville. So Greenville holds a little spot in my
Nice.
heart. Yeah.
Yeah, I know their parties get a little crazy because of all the college kids, but
Yeah. Has it toned down any out there? I mean, how long have you been in Greenville?
I go to Greenville, but I tend to stay more in Chocowinity, Washington area unless I'm shopping and that. I had my son when I was 18, so I'm not a big party person.
Oh, I gotcha. You okay?
Just a
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I got married I'm not married anymore or any longer, but I got married when I was 23. So I know
Okay.
how it is. I got handcuffed when I was way young too and had kids. But now all my kids are grown and, well, besides my daughter, she's almost there. All right.
There you go.
So, you've got quite a bit of work on your IMDb. I just looked at it and I was like, wow, okay. Pre-production. You got a lot of stuff going on right now. It looks like.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I mean, a lot of that stuff is now on hold because of everything going on in the world today, so we don't know when we're going to pick back up on it. I was set to film 2 feature films and a web series within the next 2 months, so I don't know what's happening with that now.
It's kind of hard to do that from
We're
home,
gonna
isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you can't do it when you're not supposed to be in, big groups of people, and there's a lot of people on movie sets. So pretty much everything has closed down, but we're going to pick back up as soon as the government lets us. So
Yeah, I think we're all in like that holding pattern right now. Are you doing okay holding up at home?
yeah, doing good. I mean, I don't mind the break because have been pretty busy for about the last year and a half going nonstop. So it's kind of nice to have an excuse to just be. So I've kind of switched gears, and I am doing homeschooling for my 3 kids because the schools are closed till like May 15th, they're saying now. So
Oh,
doing the mom thing 24/7 now.
yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to survive here with my 15-year-old till May 15th. I'm going to need help.
Yeah, fun. It's fun. This is my fake smile. It's a whole lot of fun.
I got a great fake smile myself.
She's a superior actress. She looks genuinely kind of happy about it. So
Right.
we'll take it. Fake it till you make it.
All right, now,
That's right. That's right.
so would you call right now like your big piece of work was The Walking Dead, right? Would you call that like the your most famous piece?
It's what I'm most known for. As far as like role size, it's not the biggest thing I've done, but project wise, it's the biggest show that I've been on. Yes.
Okay. Well, before we get into that, I found something else. I don't. Do you want to ask her about this one right here?
I do,
Yeah.
just because like I get really excited to see local work. We have a very heavy following here in the immediate Raleigh area. So Raleigh, I kind of like you, stuck out to me. Tell us about that. Did that take place in Raleigh? What's the premise of this short?
Sure. So it's actually so I had the lead role in a short, but they're sticking a bunch of shorts together to make a feature film out of it. It's kind of like if you've ever seen New York, I Love You and stuff like that. It's comedy, and it's a bunch of different short stories put together, but they all come together because they all take place in Raleigh.
Gotcha.
It's romance, comedy. It was a lot of fun. So we finished filming it. I believe it's in editing now. And then they're going to have a premiere for it when it's all done with that.
Oh, very exciting. I love local stuff, and I mean, I love Raleigh, so that really stuck out to me.
So is this going to be a
Yeah,
big premiere?
you'll see a lot of locations that you recognize, I'm sure.
So is this premiere? Are you going to have a big thing in Raleigh when it premieres?
They're hoping to. There's no details out yet. I finished filming my part. I think they may have one or two other parts to finish filming while they're editing. So there's no dates or anything like that yet. But they plan on having, as far as I know, the last thing I heard was a premiere in Wilmington, North Carolina and Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh, cool. Well, when you have it here in Raleigh, don't forget us. We want to. We want.
Oh,
to.
I won't. I will.
Yeah,
let
yeah.
you
We
know.
want to walk the red carpet and get our pictures taken with you. How about that?
Definitely.
All right, so we're going to take you back to season 5 of The Walking Dead. You played Officer Bello. Season 5, that was probably around 5 years ago, right? Because I think they're on season 10, the second half of
Yeah,
season 10 right
it was
now,
2014.
2014.
So six,
Um,
6 years ago, I guess now. It's
wow,
about.
that was actually when The Walking Dead was pretty good. It's I just can't get. Do you still watch it right now?
I do still watch it. I will say I still watch it, and it is getting better now. But I totally know that I agree that when a lot of people dropped off, what was it, season 8 or 9? I think
Oh,
when people stopped watching.
Spoiler alert.
well, I
Turn
mean,
it off now if you don't want any spoilers.
look, I'm just telling you, I got pissed off when Rick got killed off the show. He was like their big
Yeah,
star, and but come on, Amber, really, they've done the same storyline 3 times now. The governor, Negan, and now the Whisperers. Stop beating the
right.
horse. He's dead already. Let him sleep. Maybe you should just come back as like a zombie sheriff and just like
That's
start a
right.
war. I mean,
No, I mean they left me alive, so I can be a zombie or I can still be alive. You never know.
where's your character now in the Walking Dead universe? Oh, here we go.
So they kind
Spoilers.
of they left it open.
Yeah.
If you remember way back, we're gonna go way back to 2014 now in the hospital where, if you haven't seen season 5, turn it off. Where Beth died. They killed off the main cop, but they left the rest of the cops kind of just there, and then Rick Group left.
Hmm.
And we never heard from anybody at the hospital again. We don't know where they are, so they could pretty much do anything with my character at this point if they brought her back.
Well, I'm sure they're all like social distancing themselves right now with the coronavirus going on. So
That's right. That's
yeah.
right.
That would be an interesting angle if they were to go back and you get that call like in a couple of years and they'll say, "Hey Amber, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring Officer Bello back, and she's going to lead this bunch of rebellious ex-cops, and then they're going to
That's
be the
right.
next evil enemies of the Walking Dead crew." That would be great.
I would totally do it. I would totally do it. The thing that got me the most about our group of characters is, it was already years into the apocalypse, but we all had our uniforms on and we had like our slicked back hair and everything. Who's gonna do that 5 or 6 years into the apocalypse?
Uh, so what? So tell me about your Walking Dead experience. How did you get that role? First off, let's
Okay,
go back and let me just ask you how you started.
okay. So how I started was actually by accident. I was watching a show called One Tree Hill at the time. This was back in 2009, and I found out they filmed it about 2 hours from where I lived. So I started, looking online and finding behind the scenes stuff, and I came across an ad looking for extras for One Tree Hill. So I submitted to that and thought, this is just a crazy thing. I'm going to try it once and be done. And I got it, and they called me, and I went to work on One Tree Hill, and I just fell in love with being on set and just being in that whole environment all day long. So I kept going back and doing extra work. From 2009 to 2014, I was in college and then had a job. But whenever I had, summer vacation or whatever, I would go and be on as many movie sets as I could. And then at the beginning of 2014, I decided that let me go back. My husband had gotten his own business in 2014, and so I was able to stay at home with the kids. And he was like, if you want to do the acting thing full time, because I'd been talking about it for the last 5 years, this is your time to do it. So I quit working and came home and went for acting full time, starting in 2014, and haven't looked back since. Been doing it since for 6 years now.
Here, I just think it's amazing that your husband was so supportive of you pursuing that, because it is so hard to get your foot in the door and even harder to stay in the door. So I love that he's just like, go for it. This is the time and you want it, and you clearly had the experience in it. So that's fantastic. Round of applause for your husband.
Yeah, yes, very much so. Because, and what a lot of people don't know is that when I went from being an extra and then I went to start taking acting classes because I wanted to do the speaking roles and all that, I didn't make money. I really went like negative, like spent so much money on travel and classes and headshots, and I didn't break even until about a year and a half ago, and it was just last year that I started actually making a profit at acting. So I did it for almost 5 years, not making any money.
So, like, how that leads up to this Walking Dead. How did you end up on the set with Rick and Daryl, and who else was in that season? Because most of them been killed off by
It was let's see. So it was Rick and Daryl and Beth and Carol and Tyrese and Sasha, who are both dead now. Spoiler alerts. Um, and then yeah, I think that was, and Daryl, of course, and Rick. That was the two big ones. But it was a lot of the main characters at the time were in that scene.
Mm-hmm.
So how that came about was I kind of sent an email at the right time, kind of got lucky type thing. It was, I had decided to do acting full time at that point, but I had only done, like, as far as speaking roles, a few student films and a short film. So I was still doing a little bit of extra work to kind of keep myself busy. And I sent an email to the extras casting in Atlanta because they were filming a movie down there, and I had some time where I could go down there and work. So I sent them the email saying, I've watched your postings. You haven't really needed my type, but here's my information, my resume, just in case something comes up, which, by the way, you're not actually ever supposed to do that. You're supposed to wait until they have something for you and then email. But I just got it in my head that, I really wanted to be in that movie at the time. So I sent them the email. I didn't hear anything for a couple of weeks, and then I got an email back that said, we received your email for the movie, but we actually think you would fit a featured cop on Walking Dead better, because it was the same casting company. And they said, can you send this picture and this resume to this email address, and it's going to be a director picture pic. So I sent my stuff in, got really excited because I was a big fan of Walking Dead. Sent my stuff in and then had to kind of wait while the director went through, because it was a featured role with no lines, but a lot of camera time. I didn't have to audition, but they wanted to see resumes and pictures, and then the director had to choose who they wanted. And I think it was about a week after I sent the stuff that I got the text message that said, if you can be available this block of days, and it was like over a 3-month span of time. And I was like, yep, I didn't even check my calendar. I was like, yep, I'm available. I'm good. Thanks.
Did
Oh
you
my
just go crazy?
God.
Did you just like start
I
texting all your
Oh my
friends and
gosh. Well, we had to sign. I had to sign my life away for this show, so I wasn't allowed to say anything to anybody for a long time.
oh, gotcha.
And after I went on the set because of the scene I was in and one of the main characters dying, I had to sign my life away even more. They would sue you for like $1 million plus if it got out that this character was going to die. So I didn't even tell my husband. Like I came home from Atlanta and he was like, "Oh, so what happened on set?" I can't tell you, sorry.
Oh no! Oh, that's so unfair, but I get it.
It was crazy, but as far as when I found out, I embarrassed the heck out of my kids. I was actually in Walmart shopping when I got the text message, and I was going through the women's lingerie section, and I looked at my phone, and I had my 2 little ones in the cart because they were littler at the time, and I read it that I had been chosen for Walking Dead, and I literally stopped in the middle of the lingerie section, jumping up and down in Walmart, and my kids were just like covering their faces, like, "Oh my God, what's going on?"
What a great visual. Thank you for that.
I know. You're so.
Wait a second. So Walmart has a lingerie section? Where's
I
this?
mean, I wouldn't, they have it, but I wouldn't call it, lingerie.
It's like adjacent to where you find your boxers. So like just look over
Yeah.
and the women's is right there.
Okay.
It's no Victoria's Secret, so you're not missing anything.
Oh man. So many things I could say about that one. Wait, first off, so Walmart has boxers.
Moving on.
Wait, oh. Okay, where were we now? I digress.
I don't even know.
So,
I wanted to ask about, sorry, I wanted to ask about, so obviously the filming for The Walking Dead took place in Georgia, and you mentioned that you had gotten lucky with One Tree Hill having been filmed locally. What other roles have you done that were generally pretty localized to you? And obviously before our travel grounding, what other kind of travel had you done for your roles?
Okay, so when I started out, a lot of the student films and short films were local throughout North Carolina. I did a lot of extra work in North Carolina. I did One Tree Hill, well, and Atlanta. I would go down to Atlanta. It's actually like an 8-hour drive for me to Atlanta, but the film industry there is so huge that I just usually dealt with the drive. When I first got started, I worked on One Tree Hill. I worked on Under the Dome, which is also in Wilmington, North Carolina. It was filmed here. I just recently went back and did extra work for the last time last year and worked on the new Halloween movie that they filmed last year here.
oh, I got a friend who worked on that too.
Yeah, it was fun. So I kept saying that I wasn't going to do extra work anymore because I had kind of moved on and was doing the speaking roles, but then I found out that that was being filmed, and I did not have an agent at the time because it's kind of a little different. If you have an agent, they don't want you to go do that because they want to submit you for the speaking roles. But this was before I had my agent, so I was like, okay, I'm going to go do extra work one more time. And then they ended up pulling me, and I don't know if it's going to make it in the movie, obviously, but they kind of pulled me for a little bit of a featured part while I was there, so that was fun.
Did you get to meet Danny McBride?
I did not. I did meet Jamie Lee Curtis, though.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, that's better.
Yeah.
Well, if you count meeting her, there was like 20 of us there that she was talking to, but it was close enough.
Nah.
Still a big deal. Don't let anybody take that away from you.
Yeah.
But recently, let's see, for as far as traveling, I do travel a lot now for work. I did a feature film in Kentucky. I did some of the true crime recreation shows in Tennessee. I did Snapped and Killer Couples, and then there's a new one coming out on Investigation Discovery that I'll be on as well. So I went back and forth to Tennessee like 4 times last year.
No. Yeah, the killer couples. I was looking that up, and I'm assuming you were one half of a killer couple.
I was.
Yeah. Is it a spoiler alert? Can you tell me who it was, or?
No, that one's already been aired. I I can't remember when. It was at the end of last year, beginning of this year. So in that, I played a woman who hired a man to kill her husbands
Oh, so
and
was
just
this a true
an
story?
affair on her. Yeah, so those shows are all based on true stories, and you have to audition for them. But a big part of it is you have to look like the real person because they show the pictures of the people, and then they do like
Hmm.
recreation scenes. So,
Oh man, that seems pretty cool. Who was the person you played? Because I'm definitely googling this person.
okay, so the woman's name was Gina. Let me see if I can say it. Scaramuzzo.
Gina Scaramuzzo.
Yeah,
Spell that.
see, I don't. Gosh, I'd have to look it back up again.
So
I think it's
Italian.
Scrazumma or something like that.
How can
But
our
it was.
listeners? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you, how can our listeners see that if we want to check that out? Killer Couples.
So that was on the Oxygen Network, and they do a lot of replays, and they also have an app, I believe, too. If you have cable, you can download the Oxygen app,
Okay.
and the it's on IMDb. If you look up my IMDb, my character's name is actually the name of the episode as well.
I don't know why. I would looked all through IMDb. I couldn't find anything. It was like a list of names this long for the cast. So I'm
Yeah,
assuming it was like a couple of
well,
seasons.
yeah, they've had quite a few seasons, I believe, because it's actually a spin-off of the show Snapped, which is Snapped has had 26 seasons, so.
Oh. So let's talk about Dumb and Dumber. So you had a role in that also?
So that one I did. Well, that was back when I was doing extra work. I had went down to Atlanta and I worked on Vampire Diaries and I worked on Dumb and Dumber 2 right around the same time, and it was a lot of fun. Jim Carrey is absolutely insane in real life and crazy just as he is on screen, so it was a lot of fun.
I he's one of my favorite actors and one of my favorite sound bites I use on my shows all the time.
Yeah.
Laura's a big fan of Jim Carrey too.
Who?
Let's see, we were just talking about Jim Carrey the other
Who?
night. So there was another show that I heard you mention in one of your other podcasts called Realm, and I guess these podcasts were from 2017 that I heard.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a old. So Realm actually did not ever happen, unfortunately, which it happens a lot in the independent world. They'll
Hmm.
get things together and financing just doesn't go through. So that was one of the very first projects I was attached to as far as lead roles go, but unfortunately, because of financing issues, it never did happen.
No. Yeah. So how did you? So I met you at Plus Dual and Piano Bar. It was about 3 weeks ago for the big Rio Fest. Did you have a good time doing that?
I did. It was so much fun. I'm really glad that I went to do it because that was kind of right before everything kind of hit the fan and we weren't allowed to go out and get into big groups. That was the last big event that I was able to do. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was the last big event I think I did, and it's so sad now because my
I
life
know.
revolves around big events. It's what I do, and now I'm stuck in this little house in my little studio, 10 by 10. This is the only way I can get out and reach out to people, which is cool, I
Right.
guess. But yeah, that was a great experience. Did you get to meet a lot of people at Plus that night? I'm sure you had a lot of people coming up to you.
I did. I did. Well, it was interesting because my husband was originally going to go with me, and then some things happened around the house, and he had to stay home and play handyman. So I brought my girls with me because I didn't realize how many people were actually going to be at this thing.
Hmm.
Because I went to an event with Pete, who's one of the people who ran the event, and I met Miss Ali before, and the other event I went to was a lot smaller, so I was assuming it was going to be that again. So I brought my girls in there, and we were late, and we walked in, and that bar was literally just jam packed with people, elbow to elbow.
I thought it was actually going to
Um,
be more people there, to be honest with you.
did you?
Yeah, I totally did. I mean,
Yeah. Well, I see. I had never been in that bar either, so I wasn't sure how it was set up. But I mean, I had a lot of fun. We just ended up finding a place to sit, and then people were just coming to me to talk to me because originally I was planning to, get out and I guess smooze a little more and walk around, but just getting through all those people, and like my kids were, I think, almost the only kids in the building. So I was like, okay, you guys just sit down.
Oh, there was a couple more. I saw a couple more in there.
Was there? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. That's good. I don't feel so bad then.
Yeah. So, yeah, I know Pete. Pete's a good dude. I think he lived in Greenville. He might be from Greenville, I
He
guess, in
did.
that area.
He did. We met, yeah.
Yeah, and oh man, so we usually my group that I founded ATB, we have events at Plus, and sometimes that place gets so crowded you can't walk. It's literally elbow to elbow on like a Friday night or a Saturday night. So yeah, that was
I can see it. It's a nice place.
yeah. It's I think they were voted. Here's a plug for Plus, y'all. They were voted like the #1 bar in Raleigh in 2019, I believe it was. So good for those guys. Yeah. You'll definitely have to do like a red carpet there whenever you get the Raleigh movie out. That would be awesome.
There you go.
Yeah.
When we're allowed to socialize again.
When will that
Right.
be? What do you want right now that the coronavirus and this COVID-19 crap is just taken away from
Oh
us?
my goodness. Yeah, on a positive note, my kids are enjoying doing the online schooling thing right now. They really enjoy not being in school, and I don't mind that part. I have good kids. They're good at school, so that part's not bad. Spending more time with my family is definitely a good thing, but I think the thing that got me is how everything has shut down. So, like, my whole industry basically is shut down, so I have no auditions coming in. I have a studio in my house. I could film auditions all day long if they were coming in, but they're just not. So it's kind of more of a, I don't know what to do with myself. There's only so many board games and family activities I can think of. It was, it was great. Like the first 4 or 5 days, we were having a good old time, and now we're just kind of like, no, what do we do now?
So what's your favorite board game?
Oh gosh, we played Clue. We played Trivial Pursuit. We played. Oh god, we haven't pulled out Twister yet. I think they're gonna make me do Twister next. I'm kind of scared.
If I pull Twister out, I'll pull something.
He's asking for
know, me
ideas to keep himself entertained.
And
Right.
No, I'm a Jenga person. You cannot beat me in Jenga.
Oh, there you go.
So,
Yeah, we have Jenga now. Of course, I have 3 kids, so I think our Jenga tower is about half as tall as it used to be because we're missing a lot of pieces. So
Where do the blocks go?
I don't know. I don't know.
Amber, you have to get one of those big ones, the ones with like the blocks that are like this, like a foot long.
Yeah, I've seen those. I've seen those. That looks awesome.
Just keep the kids away from it in case you knock it down and it falls on them. It might hurt them. You never know.
Yeah, right.
Well, have you got anything else, Laura?
I do. So I'm really interested in kind of, I'm noticing a pattern in some of the roles that you've played in the past. So very sci-fi, very supernatural, thrillers and suspense pieces. Is that generally like the role that you pursue?
It kind of actually started from The Walking Dead. As soon as I was on Walking Dead, I started getting hit up by a lot of independent horror and thriller people. And so then I worked with them, and I think it just started as a trend where, like, I wouldn't say I'm stuck in it because, like I said, Raleigh, I kind of like you as comedy, romance comedy. But overall, I do a lot of horror thrillers, and I would say probably 80% of the time I get cast as like the psycho killer chick.
That's so fun.
Your husband's got to love
It
that.
is. Oh yeah, of course. I just have that face, I guess.
Yeah. Fruit of the Poisonous Tree. I'm just like looking at your stuff in pre-production. That sounds like maybe you're another bad guy. Or
I'm actually playing. I'm actually playing a cop in that one. It is a thriller, but I'm supposed to be playing a cop in that. That one's filming like way over in Las Vegas. So that's whenever I can leave the house again, it'll be fun to go to Las Vegas.
Oh, it's always fun to go to Vegas, right?
I know, we did. We went there for one of our anniversaries about 3 years ago. It was awesome.
I've been twice. I went to a UFC fight, then I used to, back in my former life, I used to play professional cornhole. So I would travel the country playing cornhole. You know what that is?
Oh.
Yeah, it's like you throw a little bag in a hole
yeah.
in the board, yeah. So
Yep.
I went to Vegas and played in a couple of tournaments out there. So it's good times. It's a different world out there.
Nice.
You ever been to Vegas?
No.
Oh, definitely.
No? Oh, no.
No, I don't want to go to Vegas.
Oh. Well, I do have one more question before we let you go. What kind of
Sure.
advice would you give to our listeners that are have dreams or want to get their foot in the door as far as being an actor or an actress?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would definitely say be prepared for the long haul. If this is something you want to do, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to happen instantly. You have to be prepared to work for it and work your way up. So, like, for example, with me, I did extra work for 5 years before I ever did my first speaking role. And then, I mean, I'm just now, 6 years later, starting to audition for the big TV speaking roles like Fox, CW, HBO, that sort of thing. And don't expect to make a lot of money like we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
It can come eventually. I mean, like I said, I'm making a decent amount now, but it's you can't live on it until you've been doing it for a long, long time.
I don't get discouraged too, right? Because you're going to get turned
That,
down a lot.
oh yeah,
Don't
like
take it
you have to
serious.
have a thick skin. You know, you're gonna hear no way more than you hear yes. For every role that I've gotten, I've done probably at least 40 auditions that I didn't get. And sometimes you don't hear why, and then other times they'll tell you you were too fat, you were too short, you were too this, you were too that. So you have to have a thick skin and not take anything personally.
Yeah, that's some good advice right there. I think that's what gets a lot of people. If you don't have that thick skin, then you're going to get your feelings
And
hurt and you're going to be like, this isn't for me. Yeah, and you're going to roll on. Well, I appreciate you joining us tonight, Amber, on
no,
Hammered. Hopefully, we can have you on again sometime and we can talk about once this social distancing is over and you get back to your filming and all these pre production pieces you have going on. We can talk about them. All right. You got any
sounds good. I look forward to it.
co-host? You got anything else?
I don't. Thank you so much. One last question. Honestly, I like how I'm like, no, I'm done. But let me ask you
Yeah.
this. Every time, every conference call I've ever been on. Okay, no, I don't have anything. But this last question. So, in a movie of your life, who would play Amber Dawn Fox?
Oh, good question.
Oh, that is a good question. And I've done a lot of these kind of interviews, and I don't think anybody's ever asked me that before. Um, I gotta think of that. I have a lot of actresses that I like, but I don't know if they would actually fit me. Like, I love Jennifer Aniston and I love Julia Roberts, but I don't know. I know that a lot of people, as far as looks wise, a lot of people say Winona Ryder for me,
Oh, I see
which
that.
is
I
kind of
see that.
Yeah.
yeah. So I would say if you had to go based solely, if you were trying to find somebody that looks like me, I would go with her. But actress wise, I would say Julia Roberts.
I like it.
Nah, I like it.
Yeah.
I had a crush on her during the Pretty Woman era, so
Yeah,
she
yeah, I
was
love her.
smoking. All right. Well, Amber, thanks for joining us on ATB Hammered. You can check out Amber's work. Hey, if you are a Walking Dead fan and you just you go all the way back to season 5, it was the episode entitled Coda in
Slabtown and
Slaptown.
yes.
Yep, she played Officer Bello. Also, she's got some more stuff coming. I can't wait to see Riley. I kind of like you. But thanks for joining us, Amber. You have a good night and be safe over there in
You too.
Chocowinity.
All right, thanks. Thanks, guys.
All right, you have a good one. All right, there you are, folks. That was our interview with Amber Dawn Fox, actress here in Eastern North Carolina. Hey, tell your friends about this podcast, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we've got more to come. We will catch you on our next episode of Hammered.
Bye.
What was that?